Hey guys, Lucas here from Victor Surplus, and today we're going to cover the 4 basic types of kit, do a general overview of some pros and cons of each one, show an example, and then just go over what might work best for you and what works together, what doesn't work really good together, and just overall just to get a good idea of what, if you're new to kit or looking for your next kind of kit, what each kind of brings to the table. So we got 4. We got plate carriers, chest rigs, belt kits, and your split front battle jacket kind of mix up. So we're gonna go over those 4 pros and cons, and so you can figure out what's gonna work best for you. So yeah, let's get into it. All right, so the first piece of kit, and this is the most popular, most widespread at the end of the day, aside from the next one we're gonna do, is plate carrier or just body armor in general. So that, there's tons of companies that offer them. You can get standard issue ones, you can get endless customizable ones, and you can get pretty standard ones like this Cryo Precision JPC 1.0. Just using an example, but yeah, plate carriers are pretty common out there, and it's usually the entry point for guys that are really getting into tactical gear. They get a plate carrier. Now from there, the first biggest thing pro-wise for a plate carrier is protection, because if you're going to get one, you're going to get plates to put in there, so you're automatically going to have some sort of ballistic protection. And that's one thing none of the other kits we're going to cover are going to offer you, is any sort of actual ballistic protection. So if you're looking for that, that's something you're paying attention to and need, this is the one to go with off the bat. From there, it can integrate with all the other kits we're going to talk about. So you can integrate the chest rigs, the belt kits, and the split rigs or battle jackets with the plate carrier. Sometimes it depends on the plate carrier. You might have to match it to your kit type as it is, but you can integrate, generally speaking, a plate carrier with pretty much any other type of kit. And they can be comfortable to wear. So there's just so many different add-ons you can get for plate carriers to make them more comfortable to wear for all-day wear. Some of them are going to come with them and just make it from the get-go really comfortable for a heavy load. Some of them you're just going to have to add on to. But as it is, most comfortable to wear from the get-go for a long period of time. They're pretty easy to set up. So a lot of plate carriers are kind of automatically, maybe not fix you, but suggest, 3 mags up front, and then from there spread the rest of your kit out. But they're pretty easy to set up as it is. You can look around and find people have them set up all sorts of crazy ways, and it's going to work for you. There's plenty of MOLLE space for pouches, for accessories, for gear. So you're not really limited to how you're going to set up as some other ones will be. Pretty easy to set up. And then from there, if you have a slick back on here, unlike this one where they got this pouch, vehicles, it's going to be easy to sit in a vehicle with it. It's going to be pretty easy to wear a backpack on it. Some backpacks aren't made quite for comfortable wear with a plate carrier or body armor, but you can find backpacks that are going to wear well with the plate carrier, and then you can get in and out of the vehicle even easier because you're not wearing anything on your back as it is. Okay, and they're very customizable. So you can customize these things out pretty far. There's some companies out there that specialize just in accessories for different brands of plate carriers out there. And then you can do a lot of it yourself too. So you can customize these things out of the high heavens and make it work for you and your application, what's going to work best for you or your team or your group of buddies, or if you're in the Army, within your unit. So they're pretty customizable. And then from there, you can wear combat tops. If you spend a lot of money on a combat top and you're figuring out how to wear it, your plate carrier, it's going to work out for you. So those are the pros. Let's get into some cons. Initial cost is going to be usually pretty high. So you might be able to find a cheap plate carrier as it is, or a piece of body armor, but once you start adding any sort of ballistic protection in there, your cost is going to get bumped up automatically pretty high. So it may be something you buy the carrier, then buy the plates down the road, and in the meantime use another kit or working with what you got. But at the end of the day, the initial cost for a plate carrier is going to be very high. From there, so if you're looking for a full combat load capable rig, most plate carriers can be set up to wear 7 mags plus water, multiple general purpose pouches, and all that stuff. But they're not really set up to wear that and carry that load really well. Some of them can be accessorized and built up to do that, but as it is, like a JPC, I can wear 7 mags on here, but it's not really made for that, and it's going to stress the carrier as it is out, and it's going to break down quicker. So if you're looking for a plate carrier piece of body armor that's going to carry a full combat load as it is, you're getting the higher priced plate carriers from there, and not from the lower priced ones that are made more for just carrying that slick rig. That is a big con, especially depending on what you want to do with this. If you're in the Army looking for a plate carrier to replace your issued one for whatever reason, definitely got to think about that and what you're going to be wearing in a combat situation, or if you're in the Marines and are allowed to do it. stuff like that. Combat loads, your Cry, like AVS, CPCs, whatever they are, those are made for full combat loads. There's some, I think one of the Pharaoh ones, you can definitely kit out to that one, and then some other ones out there, but you kind of have to really look, and you can't just go with the JPC or a Slickster and expect to wear 7+ mags, water, everything else on there and be good to go. For short term, yes. 7+ hours in, no. You're gonna start to feel the effects of a plate carrier that's not built to wear that. So some more cons. All right, anything you put on the back of this is now nearly inaccessible if you're by yourself. So if you're not with a buddy, if you put anything on your back or certain areas on here, you're gonna create points where you just can't get to that gear. So you gotta pay attention to that. Throwing a pouch on the back is cool, and it's nifty, but if you don't have a buddy right next to you at the time, to get into that pouch, if it's a necessary item at the time, you're gonna take your kit off. So you gotta think about that when you're setting up your kit. You're easily isolating pouches and gear if you're not setting up right or not working with a team. From there, you can easily overbulk, kind of going into that whole, some of them aren't really made to carry the full combat load as it is. It's very easy to overbulk your plate carrier and just weigh it down very heavily to the point where it's a detriment to you moving around and getting to where you need to go and doing what you need to do. So you gotta pay attention to that when you're setting these up. It's just super easy to put too many pouches on here because if you have exposed molly, you kind of want to put a pouch on there because like, oh, I could wear this on there now. You got to avoid that really heavily with the plate carrier. All right, so another con that kind of is a good thing and a bad thing is most of your modern plate carriers are Legos of the day, which means that you have to build it up. You're going to get the plate bag, then pick out your cummerbund, pick out shoulder straps sometimes, pick out your panels and all that. So you have to watch out because the initial cost is low, building it up is high. So what might seem like a budget-friendly carrier might easily add up to not being a budget-friendly carrier. So the Lego aspect is good because you can really build up to exactly what you need, but can be bad if you're not paying attention to exactly what you need. And you can get something you don't need that you're going to have to replace at the end of the day or figure out a way to sell, or now you're just stuck with a $100 accessory for your plate carrier that you're never going to use. So from there, they are very hype susceptible. So what that means is you see your buddy wearing one and you're like, now I want that. But it may not work for you. Or you see something on the internet, especially on Instagram or YouTube, the guy's wearing this carrier with this setup, and you're like, man, that's awesome, I want that. But it may not work for you. So you gotta really pay attention to what you want. You can get a lower budget carrier that can do everything you want and not fall into a trap of spending $1,000, $500,000 on something that's not gonna work for you at the end of the day, especially if you're not gonna use it on a consistent basis. So pay attention to that because budgets are important and keeping within your budget is even more important. So those are kind of the cons of it. Plate carrier is good to go though. As far as a beginner piece, a plate carrier is probably where to go with because you have that ballistic protection from there and you can wear a lot of stuff on there and really set up how it works best for you. So let's go to the next piece. All right, the next and the second most popular or pretty much tied with them is chest rig. So right here I got a tap as an example piece for a chest rig. And again, this is the exact opposite of the plate carrier where the barrier of entry can be a whole lot less. First, you can get chest rig. It can do the majority of the thing except for ballistic protection that your plate carrier is going to do for you. So let's get into some pros, some cons, and talk about chest rigs. Okay, biggest pro, again after the barrier of entry cost, is going to be it's compatible with most of your plate carriers. So a tap can be clipped onto your plate carrier, but you have tons of other options out there for chest rigs that they're going to be compatible with that body armor. So you can get that slick body armor and then wear your chest rig on top of it, and then downgrade, upgrade, whatever needs to be, scale up, scale down with your chest rig. From there, highly customizable. So if you have a tap like this, or even some of the ones out there nowadays, which you get into, you can customize the heck out of these things really easily. So that goes in that Legos aspect, which is a good and bad thing. So on a tap, it's a little less Legos, but on some of your other ones that are out there right now, you got to build those things out to get to anything beyond a very basic rig and to carry a full combat load, which the chest rigs can easily do. You can easily build up beyond that 3 mag kind of capability inherent in a lot of chest rigs and a lot of plate carriers and build up to 7+. So right here I have 7 on here, and I could easily wear 1 or 2 more and be very comfortable with that loadout on a tap. Once you have it set up right, once you have an additional harness to it, that's not the stock harness. But that full combat load capability doesn't need to be overlooked, because at the end of the day, you're your own resupply if you're a civilian, and if you're in the military, even then, you know, each magazine's 1 minute of fighting. So pay attention to that. Some other pros. Okay, so you can get chest rigs that are like this, where there's sewn in pockets, everything like that, where you can put inserts in there, or you can get slick ones, where it's just a MOLLE face, and it's up to you, you know, sky's the limit, kind of how you're going to build out that one out, which is kind of nice because it's your options are, you know, kind of, you know, unlimited at the end of the day. Words are hard today, apparently. So that's a really good thing because it's very end user customizable, very friendly to you, and if you're just wearing a chest rig like this, it's going to be very friendly to being worn in a vehicle, very friendly to be worn with a backpack in conjunction with it, so that's really nice. And when you have these set up right, they're very, 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 very comfortable. Even with a full loadout like this, it's going to be easy to wear all day long, and you're not going to really complain too hard, other than just, you know, straps do get uncomfortable, but it's not the worst thing in the world. All right, they're also easy to change your loadouts on, so I could easily just go, all right, I keep my 7 mags, or I go down a little bit and change out my loadout completely, fairly easily, especially on the more modern ones, which are heavily scalable. That load change out is a really good thing if you're doing a lot of different things. Just makes your life a little bit easier. And then from there, as a base rig, they're pretty lightweight. So when this is empty, it's a pretty lightweight piece of equipment. And even when I fill it up, it stays pretty lightweight, mostly because I'm not worried about ballistic protection just on this as it is. So it's a pretty lightweight piece of gear. All right, now a couple cons. So biggest con on these is if they're not set up right, if you don't have this adjusted right to you, and if your weight distribution's off, it's gonna sit really badly on you. So you gotta pay attention, like any other gear you're gonna have, make sure this is set up right for you. If you overload it, the straps aren't tight, they're not, you know, cinched down, they're not secured, this thing's just not gonna be fun to wear, especially if you get a full combat load in there. So make sure you're paying attention to how you load this out, just like any other piece of gear. What's critical to it, what's important. If you have something on there you don't need, take it off, make it sit better on you. And from there, same kind of thing as plate carriers. They are susceptible to hype, so watch out when you're buying a plate carrier. Is this going to work for you? Or when you buy a chest rig, is this going to work out for you at the end of the day? Are you getting something that's too small? Are you getting something that's too big? Is it just doing too much? Is there too much room on there for you? Because the worst thing you do is get something and there's just so much room, you're having to find stuff to put in there to, you know, get your money out of it. You don't want to do that. So you don't want to have to add stuff to your kit just so you can use your kit properly. You want to have your kit meet what you need and be able to add on to if you needed to, not you add on to your kit because you want to make sure it meets what you have to do. So pay attention to that one. You know, taps are good. Once you do a little work on them, they're really good rigs and they're going to carry everything you need. All right, so let's go on to the next piece. All right, next up is belt kit. So I have a padded belt on some suspenders, and that's going to make up your belt kit. There are lots of options there. Well, not a whole lot of options out there, but there are some good options out there for this. This one's just Eagle Industries suspenders on the Eagle Industries war belt, and I went from there. So good things about belt kit is you get some serious like Vietnam vibes out of here, and then it's going to be Legos, but in a really good way because you're not fixed to any sort of setup at the end of the day. It's you make this work for you. You put as many magazines on as you want on there, many GP, water, med, everything else on there. So it's entirely up to you how you want your belt kit set up. This is different than a gun belt or something like that because it's very focused on the complete aspect of warfighting and not as an addition to other pieces of kit. So when you set up a battle belt like this is your kit. It can be integrated with the plate carrier, which is nice, and you can sometimes wear some chest rigs with it, which is even better because you can really scale up in your capability. But as it is, you know, on a belt kit, completely different from a gun belt, you're carrying all your magazines, everything you need right on your belt. From there, they're pretty comfortable and set up right, just like everything else. Set it up right, it's going to be comfortable to wear, and you can carry a lot of stuff on here. Now, you are kind of limited at space. I'm kind of getting a con already on this one. So, depending on the kind of belt you're using, if the suspenders are slick like this, and there's no like MOLLE back face, you're going to be limited on space where you can put stuff. So you kind of have to really trim down to what you need and get rid of everything you don't need, and then set it up to be worn with a backpack. So you can't really carry a whole lot of extra, which is a good thing on here. You're not going to tie yourself up in just, you know, nonsense on your kit. You're going to be limited to just what you need to use. That's a really good thing because it's going to stay lightweight. Even when it's really heavy, it's going to stay, lighter than if you were carrying on chest rig or something like that, or just straight backpack plate carrier kind of combo. So those are really good for that. I like belt kits quite a bit because it makes sense for long range movement. So if you're moving a long distance, this is going to work well for you because it really plays into comfortability, wear with the backpack, and just in general, it's the best one to wear because you can set up on weight on your hips, coming off your shoulders, and kind of adjust it there. So that way, for long-term wear over a long movement, it's going to wear the best. Another good thing is cost is dependent on you. So because this is Legos to the high heavens, and you're building it out yourself, the cost is dependent on just how you want to build it out. So you can take some really nice pouches and combine them with some less expensive pouches and make it really work for you within your budget and really build up something that's going to work. And also vehicle friendly in the aspect, you just take it off and you put it back on. It's really easy to take on and off. Just buckle, waist belt at the end of the day. So it's pretty backpack and vehicle friendly. And you can set these things up pretty easily for 28 to 48 hours of wear. 48 hours means it's going to be a big old butt pack in the back, but 24 hours is pretty easy with water, especially if you're wearing this in conjunction with a small backpack or even a large ruck or something like that. So let's get into some cons. So like I said before, you're limited in space. So you're really going to have to narrow down to what you need, and everything's going to have to end up being, most things end up being dual purpose. So general purpose pouches are where it's going to play key on your belt kit, is going less specialty pouches and more general purpose. So I have dedicated magazine pouches right here, but this triple right here can carry 3 more magazines, or I can put something else in there that's big. I can use that as a patrol type holster, everything like that. Your IFACs, you can put full size ones on there. That's going to be your most really specialized pouch there is your IFAC. Sometimes you can combine that with the GP pouch depending on what GP pouch you're running. And then from there, GP, everywhere else in between is going to be general purpose. And then if you have a water source, even that water source, if you're wearing a backpack, make sure that's a general purpose kind of water source pouch. That way if you need to put stuff in there, you can, and then have the rest of your water on your back. But that is a good thing because you can really load these things out just for what you need and carry a lot in here in a pretty low profile kit, and you're pretty good to go with the belt kit. So what else is on there? Not a ton of options. So if you're looking for a straight belt kit kind of rig to buy one-stop shop kind of thing, there's not a whole lot of options out there for belt kits. So you're kind of limited to what you can put together yourself. So it's kind of up to you, and that is a con at the end of the day because it takes, it can just take longer to build out this kit because there's not just a lot of stuff that's like, hey, belt kit, belt kit, belt kit. It's like, this goes on a belt kit. There's less stuff that's just like, this is the belt kit. And then can be kind of niche in the use of it. So like I said, this is really good for long range stuff, less so than your urban or anything like that. You're getting kind of niche in your use, but if it works for you, it's going to work great for you. So let's get into the last one, talk about it. All right, so the last one we're going to get into is a split rig battle jacket kind of combo. And I'm going to use a flick as an example for that one. So well, your battle jackets are kind of like, it's an all-encompassing, you kind of put it on, everything's right there. And your split rigs, it's pretty self-explanatory, it splits in the front. So the flick kind of encompasses both of those, takes characteristics of both, and does a good example of explaining it. So your split rigs are nice because it's nice to get a good pro for a split rig is that once it's unzipped, you can get low profile really quick, you can lay out, and it's easy to put on and off. Battle jackets are going to be easy to put on and off as well. Some of them are going to be sewn pouches on there, and they're going to be fixed to that layout. So for a lot of battle jackets, it's a fixed layout. A flick as it is a MOLLE platform, so you can Lego it out however you want to with all your pouches are. For the split fronts, you're going to see some that are MOLLE'd and some that are sewn in. So your MPCR is a sewn on kind of split rig, and where you're fixed with a little additional MOLLE space to that rig and layout. So when you're looking at those, you really want to make sure that works for you. Most of your battle jackets that are sewn in are foreign, so if they work for you, it's going to be dependent on, do you have the right magazines? Some of them aren't going to work with some magazines. Good Lord. So you got to pay attention to that. But sewn in is a good thing because it automatically lends to a lighter weight rig because you're not worried about MOLLE and straps and all that stuff. If it's a slick rig like a flick, easy to build up and go from there. And there's plenty of MOLLE space usually on a slick kind of battle jacket or split rig, and it's really easy to build up on there and get a full combat load or down lower than that. So a pro is the cost is all over the place. So if you get a flick, and build this up as a split rig battle jacket kind of combination. You can get these for dirt cheap. And then build it from there, so they're really budget friendly and really starter friendly as far as somebody just getting into kit. And then these can be set up for 28 to 48 hours of wear. So because you can kind of wear a backpack, big old butt packs back here on the flick like this one, you can really get this thing out to wear for a full day of use with the gear you need to kind of stay out overnight. And they can be backpack compatible, so if we leave this slick, wearing a backpack's no issue. If I'm wearing a split rig kind of like NPCR, again, really backpack friendly as it is. So these are really good. I think if you're looking for a really full combat load capable and you're just looking for just the most amount of space to carry stuff, a battle jacket and the split rigs can do that for you as well. But they are kind of limited because it's a little more complicated in the kit realm when you get into these kind of things. And you can really easily get fixed into a certain setup when you go with these as well, which is also a con, a pretty big con, because maybe that setup just doesn't work for you. Maybe it was made for a specific purpose and that isn't what you're doing. So let's look at some other cons. Yeah, just like I was saying, they can fix you in a layout, and they're not vehicle friendly sometimes, like this one. If you have stuff on the back, it's not vehicle friendly, but luckily it's really easy to put on. And then it can be niche in use and function. So if you get like a nice, really cool, like one of those the pattern 83s from like South Africa, that may not work for you. It looks cool, it might do a really good job for them, but you might find yourself with a bunch of extra pouches that you're looking to fill up because you don't have stuff for them, or they might not fit your magazines quite right. So yeah, so these are the last ones, definitely the least popular and the least you see out there is a split rig kind of battle jacket layout, because at the end of the day, you really have to need this kind of layout or kit to use this kind of kit, and it's not just for everybody at the end of the day. So yeah, hope you like this video. It's just a general overview of the 4 different kind of basic types of kits you're going to see out there. Hopefully this answers some questions. If you had any questions as you know what you're looking for the next kit that you're going to get, or if you're looking to branch out or just want to know more about kit in general, so make sure you leave a comment below. What's your favorite type? Everything like that. Make sure you subscribe as well and head on to the website, because most of this stuff is available at some point in time. So make sure you head on over there and check it out.